morning, everyone.
Good morning. Welcome to today's community briefing. Today is the 11th of August in the year 2022, and you are here for a great program with the community briefing. My name is Gregory Sneed, and my company name is Lifesaver Financial Services. I help my clients keep more of the money they make, and I do that through life insurance solutions, financial coaching, and financial literacy training. Because I firmly believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. And if you'd like to feel better about your money, I can help you and your money get reacquainted. Now, it's my pleasure to welcome to the virtual stage the queen of our community briefing, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to have you. Really excited to hear our speaker today. I read your bio, and wow, you're just impressive.
Thank you.
My name is Crystal Mitchell, and I'm the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as one of the hosts here at the Community Briefing. I also have another show, a podcast called The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert that broadcasts live every Friday at 3 o'clock. This platform, though, is for our community. It's for us to meet our leaders and stakeholders and all the amazing people that are doing amazing things in our community. It's also a network platform for you as well. This is replaces the Recycling Black Dollars once a month breakfast mixer is now every week. So make sure you introduce yourself and take great notes and meet each other and meet outside of this platform. That's the purpose of this platform, is to make sure that we're getting that information in a timely manner, like as it's happening and before it's over. So we want to make sure that you share this and help us grow the community briefing. And we so appreciate you. I want to thank my co-host, Mr. Stephen Turner, Mr. Gregory Sneed, myself, and Miss Robin Billups, who right now is going through some health stuff, and she'll be back when she's all ready in the next couple of months. But we want to welcome all of you that's here, and thank you for being here. And I'm going to now send it back over to Greg.
All right. So today our guest is Tensie J. Taylor, and she'll let us know later what the J stands for. She has a master's degree in education, so she's not smart, she's super smart. She's got her education, and she started off with North Carolina State University. She got a Bachelor of Arts in Communication. She also spent some time at, I had to get this right, the University of North Carolina, and then also North Carolina State University. She was diversity program assistant. She was a presidential assistant. She then had moved over to USC, and she's done a bunch of stuff at USC. So she was student hostess. She was with the USC Center for Black Cultural and Student Affairs. She was the USC, oh, I'm going to mess this up, Korchak Center of Learning and Creativity. Did my New York accent botch that up, or I did okay?
No, you said it perfectly.
All right, cool. She was a graduate assistant in the Rossier School of Education, manager of manager of manager of the USC Black Alumni Association, assistant director of the USC Black Alumni Association, and associate director of the USC Black Alumni Association. She now is a consultant. She has written a book, and it's called Bullied from Terror to Triumph, and it's a survival story, and it is available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Books A Million. We'll send you an invoice for that commercial plug. And so you'll find her story very inspiring. And so she is going to join us now. She's going to let us know, because I couldn't find it, where did she grow up? Where's she from? And tell us what the J is for, and share with us some valuable information. So please welcome to the virtual stage, Miss Tensie J. Taylor.
Yay! Thank you so much for that introduction, Gregory. I love your vivacity in introducing me. I really appreciate that. And I have to give a big shout out and thank you to Stephen. Thank you for thinking of me for this opportunity. I'm all about enlightening and educating and informing our Black brothers and sisters about the opportunities that exist. So I'm very excited to be able to speak with you this morning. As Gregory shared, I am from North Carolina and I am from a small city called Lewisburg. It has about 3,500 people in the city. So I grew up in a very intimate setting. By the time I got to my teachers, they had already taught my older brother and sister. So everybody knew who the Taylors were in Lewisburg. The J stands for Janine. So Tensie Janine Taylor is my name. So I'm excited to speak to you this morning about different opportunities that exist in the executive recruiting world. As Gregory shared, my background has been in higher education for almost the past 15 years. I worked at North Carolina State University for the vice provost for the Office of Institutional Equity and Diversity. I worked for the president of the University of North Carolina School Systems for almost a year and a half. And I knew I really wanted to make a more impact and a better difference. And so that's what brought me to Los Angeles, California, to pursue my master's degree at the University of Southern California. Graduated in May of 2014 and started working for the Black Alumni Association August of 2014 until July of 2021, where I received a phenomenal opportunity with my current company, Lindauer Global, where we are an executive recruitment firm that specializes in hiring people at that C-suite level. So assistant vice presidents, vice presidents, CEOs. I have enjoyed the work that I do. I have been there for a little bit more than a year, and the ability to make a difference and to make sure that my Black and brown brothers and sisters have seats at the table is what inspired me. And one of the things that truly drew me to Lindauer Global was its commitment to diversity. It was founded almost 25 years ago by a woman, and she realized the inequities that existed between women and minority women, and she wanted to do something about it. So she started this firm, and it's been going strong ever since. We've gotten a lot of recognition. We have partnerships with the African American Development Officers Association, ranked #1 in that area. So Lindauer truly is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We don't just talk about it, we implement it. And that was one of the reasons that drew me to this great company. But today I want to talk about two main points. If you are considering your next opportunity, what would it take for you to get there? What do consultants, executive recruiters, what do we look for when we are reaching out to particular candidates? So the first topic that I will speak on is how to prepare yourself to be approached by an executive recruiter. So one of the things I would advise many of you to do is to make sure that you have a current LinkedIn page that is up to date with your current position, what opportunities you might be looking for, and any type of certifications that you have done, whether that's in the CFRE aspect, whether that's in a diversity aspect, whatever certifications you have accomplished, please make sure you note that on your LinkedIn profile, because we have one of the best research teams in the country. And when a client comes to us and says, we are trying to find an executive director, we're trying to find a vice president for development, or we're trying to find a president and CEO for our institution, our research team gathers the information, the skill sets, the qualities, the salary range that the client is asking, and they go do their due diligence and find us the top talent. So make sure you have your LinkedIn page updated, because that will allow the recruiters and the research team to be able to look at your information to see if you have skill sets that the company is looking for, which will then allow me the chance to reach out to you to be able to interview for this position. So make sure that information is up to date. Also, I want to share, make sure that when a recruiter does reach out to you, if you're not interested in the opportunity, it's okay to let the recruiter know you're not interested, but to say, this sounds like a great opportunity, but I'm not looking to leave right now, or I'm not looking to move. However, this is what I am looking for. Please keep me in mind for additional opportunities. So although you might not want the opportunity that I reach out to you for, by telling me what it is you want, the salary range, the location, the type of position that you want for your next role, this is all very helpful to me, because I put those notes in our database system and will keep you in mind for future opportunities. So please make sure you note that. Now, for recruiters such as myself does reach out to you and you are enticed by the opportunity, the salary range is what you want, you're ready to make that next move, then I will schedule a Zoom conversation to make sure that you meet the qualifications that the client is seeking. In this Zoom conversation, I ask you to please take this as if you were coming in person to a real interview. I have had conversations where people had a t-shirt on, they weren't dressed professionally in their manner, and this is for a vice president or presidential position. Make sure you look the part, because although it's a preliminary conversation, we are looking at all of those elements to make sure that you are in alignment with what the client is seeking. So dress business professionally, have a quiet background, make sure your sound and Zoom is set up to the best of the ability, because you want to make an outstanding first impression. So make sure you are prepared for that. Now, as the conversations continue, and I feel that you are a great candidate.
Have you been? No, I mean, Annette's been telling me that you're.
Okay, thank you. As the conversations continue and I feel that you are great for this role, then I will have a further conversation either with myself or my colleague, because sometimes we have two people on the search to give a more broad perspective. And we dive deeper into the background of what it is you're seeking. So make sure you have your resume up to date. Make sure you highlight specific characteristics. If we're asking for a cover letter and we provide specific information that the client wants to see in that cover letter, please make sure you address each of those bullet points. A lot of corporations and companies are really committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And some institutions are asking for candidates to submit a diversity statement. So this is your time to hone in on all the diverse initiatives that you have helped implement, whether you hired a diverse team, whether you interact with more diverse donors, whatever you have done in these areas, make sure you highlight that in your resume, in your cover letter, if you are asked to write a diversity statement, and even in the Zoom conversation. The purpose of these conversations is for myself, the recruiter consultant, to gather as much information as possible so that when it comes time for me to present your credentials to the client, I can sing your praises in the highest esteem. And as much information I have about you, your background, it's important. Another key thing to keep in mind is sometimes people have several short stints. They might have been in a job for 2 years and then a job at 1 year and another job at 8 months. It's okay. That doesn't automatically mean you might be disqualified, but be prepared to explain, to articulate to myself, as well as the hiring manager, if you make it to a first round interview, what those short stints are. I have talked to candidates who were a traveling spouse. Their husband was a medical doctor that traveled around the country, or their husband was in the military. And so that's why they had several short stints. Organizations, nonprofits, institutions, they will be willing to work with you if they know the background of the information of the short stints. So these are just key concepts to keep in mind to set yourself up for success. Another issue that I want to share is salary. We as recruiters will sometimes say, what salary range would you like to be in for your next role? This is the time for you to assess the things that you have done in your career, your educational background, whether you have a master's degree or a JD or a PhD or MD. Look at all that you bring to the table and be honest with yourself about what salary you feel you should make. Oftentimes in this space, when I talk to diverse candidates will lowball themselves when it comes to the salary range. And I will share with them, well, this is actually what the current range is. So make sure that you are giving yourself the credit and recognition you deserve when it comes to asking that salary question. So I know I have given a lot of information, but at this moment, I want to pause to say if anybody has any questions or comments to what I've just shared. Jonathan?
Sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. So I am, well, first off, hello to everybody, and I hope that everybody learns or gains some sense of, gratitude from this experience. I am fairly young, and also I'm pretty ignorant to exactly what it is that this Zoom meeting is pertaining to. I joined in a little late, which is, I'm apologetic about, but I guess what is exactly the job offer that you're offering? if you could re-explain that, I'm sorry.
Sure, no worries. So today's session is focused on executive recruitment. So that's the world that I work in. I have the pleasure of being able to hire talented individuals such as yourselves. So I'm giving key information to help make yourself stand out, posting on your LinkedIn, making sure your information is update. And when a recruiter does reach out to you and wants to have a Zoom conversation with you, to make sure that you're prepared, you're dressed professionally, you have your most recent resume, that you're able to ask questions and articulate how you would be a value add to the position to which I'm seeking. So I get to hire top talent, directors, vice presidents, assistant vice presidents, CEOs for nonprofits, institutions. At Lindauer, we have a plethora of industries. So we have, of course, higher education. We have a lot of partnerships with HBCUs. One of our top clients is Howard University, as well as Xavier University. So we have several HBCUs. We also have the healthcare industry. We have social justice advocacy groups. We also have the arts. I am currently working on a search right now with the Los Angeles Opera. I just closed the search with the San Diego Symphony. So we have a myriad of opportunities that are available for people who are interested in getting into that executive level or C-suite positions. Does that answer your question, Jonathan?
That answers my question very perfectly. It actually answers more questions than I even thought that I could ask, and I'm very thankful for that. Thank you so much. I'll leave the stage to anybody who has any questions pertaining to more than that, but thank you very much.
Tensie, what's the difference between me just putting out applications and resumes on LinkedIn or any of the recruiting platforms? What would be the benefits of me utilizing an executive recruiter if I was in that space looking for a job, but if as opposed to going through those other platforms?
Sure. Really great question, Crystal. I tell people always utilize your network. So post on LinkedIn, post through Jobs on Chronicle of Higher Education, go to your people that you know. You never want to limit your search. But the great thing about an executive search firm is that if a company or client hires us, we are able to tap into those people that they themselves couldn't tap into. So for example, I'm leading a search for a presidential search at an institution. It was very specific. They were looking for persons with this specialized psychology degree and everything. And our research team was able to find 100 people that fit this criteria. Now, this is something that the institution might not have been able to do themselves if they had just posted on LinkedIn or posted on their own networks. Our research team is the one who goes out, looks at different platforms such as LinkedIn and others to find that top talent. So it makes the job easier. We bring you qualified individuals. And how the process works is I'm presented with this database of about 100 people. And then I have the fun part to go in and reach out to those individuals to have conversations with them. So we turned those 100 people, narrowed it down to about 30 Zoom conversations. And then when I presented the candidacy to the search committee, it was about 12 different individuals. So we do all of the legwork, we do the excessive outreach. And so it really does help. Now, for a person who's a candidate and is looking to apply, please go to our website. I will put it in the chat, but it's lindauerglobal.com. And you can see all of our current openings. We have positions all across the country. We even have some international positions in Canada, Switzerland, and we also have remote positions. So coming to us, working with the search firm, you get more because you will be coached. We have this process called a prep call, where right before you have a first round interview, myself or another consultant will prep you for the interview. What types of questions should you be prepared to answer? How have you prepared questions to ask for the search committee? What next steps you should take? So we prep them, we coach them throughout the whole process when you work with the search firm. So these are things you don't get if you just apply yourself on LinkedIn or on the company's page. We walk you through the process, we coach you. I'm the type of person that's very positive, so I keep them encouraged and engaged and motivated to feel confident when they go into those first round or second round interviews. So these are the extra elements that you will get when working with the search firm.
Awesome.
Ms. Taylor, talk to me about other types of opportunities if they're available, like contract opportunities, or is everything an exclusive contract? My firm is a consultancy. I'm a business manager. I'm not big enough to hire you. I don't really need, an executive search team, but I would be open to some opportunities if there are some without getting rid of my own business model. Is that feasible?
So we have certain packages. So you could do the full scope package where we do everything for you. And then there's also the limited scope process where we do everything. We bring the candidates to you, maybe those 10 to 12 candidates to you. And then from there, you take on the rest. Also, one of the other things we do, we conduct references through the process. We help you negotiate salary. So this is the part where having the search firm comes into play. I hope I understood your question correctly, Paul. Did that answer it from the search lens, or were you talking about from like a candidate lens?
You have both. You have, you're speaking from two different perspectives. Let's just say if I was a candidate and I was looking for contract opportunities.
Got it.
As a business manager, without losing my business model, which is this little thing here on my hat, I plan on keeping that. However, at the same time, I would love to be able to do a centers of influence type model as well, which you can find on my website. Where I'm collaborating with people like you to bring in talent to my clients. One of which of my clients has an educational program, right? So approaching it from two different spectrums, is it feasible to be able to pick up contracts from you, as well as offer you my clients who may be hiring someone and they may need an executive search firm?
Yes. So yes.
That makes sense to you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So yes to both. And I'm more than happy to send you my email address and we could talk further about that, but yes.
So the search process, how has that evolved and changed in a couple ways? One, in the virtual standpoint, and then also in resume. In the old days, there were humans actually reading resumes, and now a lot of it is it's probably keyword scan and search. So that's one area where I think it's very key. So can you focus on that? And then the next one is how that changes in terms of interviewing in a virtual world. In the old days, again, you went in an office and you sat across from a desk from somebody. How has that migrated and changed sort of post-pandemic?
Yeah, so as much sadness and chaos that the pandemic evoked, some good things did come from it. So one of the things I can say is one of the good things that came from is we're in this virtual space. And so now clients conduct interviews first round. So to your point, Gregory, like you said, first round interviews, you're looking across the table, interviewing the individual. Now we conduct these via Zoom, via first round interview. So that saves the client some money on having to fly everybody out for these interviews. And then most of the time, second round interviews will transpire on campus. So COVID has allowed this process to be a little bit more condensed. So I joined during COVID. So that's the only world I know, but talking to my colleagues who have been there 10, 20 years, they were saying that they would fly to the client, have what they call 2 days of intake conversations, kind of like a listening tour, talking to key stakeholders, maybe the president, vice president, deans, donors, alumni, students, volunteers, to get a snapshot of how they want the next person to be, what skill sets or attributes should they have. And so now all of this is done through Zoom. And so people's schedules is a little more easier to coordinate people's schedules because everybody doesn't have to be in person. All you have to do is give 30 minutes to an hour of your time to talk about what you feel will be pertinent to know if we're finding your next vice president. So it's kind of helped streamline the process in that manner.
And from a search standpoint, are candidates getting in touch with the search firm? Is the search firm searching through LinkedIn profiles or a little bit of both? I imagine you're also doing the same thing. You're doing keyword search based on the specs from what your client is looking to bring on board.
That is correct, Gregory. So we do it both ways. So our research team, they compile the information, they put that list of names, and then I reach out to those candidates myself. But how they get those candidates is the LinkedIn, using those key terms. Now, you mentioned earlier about resume. The great thing about a search firm is that when candidates send their resume to me, I'm proofreading it. I'm proofreading their cover letter. I'm saying, okay, correct this. You have a typo here. Expound more on your quantitative experience when it came to fundraising, because they want somebody who's raised 6 and 7 figure gifts. So I'm walking the candidate through the process. You don't get that if you just apply simply online. So I am reading resumes, I am reading cover letters, even the diversity statements that clients may have candidates to write. I look over it to proofread it, to share edits and changes. Again, because as I tell candidates from the beginning, I want to set you up for success. I want you to get this position. But if you don't get this position, I hope that you will learn a lot of information throughout this process so that when another opportunity aligns, you will be successful, even more successful, because you know what it entails. So I always come from a positive mindset. I always want to set people up to be the best version of themselves, to have the greatest opportunity to get the position that they aspire.
What industry, if any, does the firm specialize in? Does it, I know you're in education background, so do they focus on sort of education and nonprofits? A lot of firms seem to have a specialty or a wheelhouse, unless you get into like the Corn Ferry and I forget some of the other big names where they just do everything.
Yeah, so we do some of everything as well. So we do higher education, we do the arts, we do the social justice and advocacy organizations. We do medical field. We also do, we did the arts, and there was one more I'm missing, medical field, social justice groups. But on our website, we have the different themes that we do. So we just don't do higher education. We do a mixture of both, of different areas.
Okay, looks like I'm saying academic, medicine, healthcare, education, advocacy, policy and social enterprise, arts and culture, and faith-based.
Yes, we do.
That might have been the one that was.
Yeah, the one I was trying to think of. Mm-hmm.
And then so candidates are reaching out. So you're open to candidates reaching out to you guys to say, hey, I'm looking for, and then are there specific positions that are posted?
Yeah, so if you go to our website and click on open searches, you will see all of the searches that we have open. And let's say you want to apply for, I'll just use my alma mater because our company is working on this. If you want to apply for the executive director of the Black Alumni Association for USC, you will go on there, click the link, and then it will say at the bottom who is leading that search. You can email that person your cover letter and resume, and that person would then be in touch with you. Additionally, people who subscribe to our newsletter will always get sent information about this company is now hiring, this job opportunity has now posted. And then if you're interested, please apply to such and such. So our research team, we reach out to them, I reach out to them, and then also people go to our website, see that I'm on a particular search, and will ask me, hey, I'm interested in this opportunity, please find attached my resume. I welcome the chance to speak with you. So it's a little bit of both when it comes to outreach methods.
And I would imagine open searches are for vacant positions?
Correct. So all the searches that are listed on our website are open positions and vacant positions. And please know, everybody, it is a candidate's market right now. So this, if you're looking for that next opportunity, this is the time to do so. There is so much outstanding talent in the world. I will work with a client and I will have like 10 candidates. And then the next day I'll have maybe 7 because those candidates have been snatched so quickly. So we try to be as expeditious in the process as we can while still putting our, by abiding by our timeline that we set. But many dynamic candidates are going away quickly because so many great institutions are realizing their value. So it's really a wonderful time to start looking if that's what you want to do for your next role.
It was years ago, a friend of mine, he knew that he was going to be replaced because somebody who had his credential, who knew him, was contacted by the company, the search firm. So that was awkward.
Awkward. I have one question, Greg.
Go ahead, Kristen. Go ahead.
My nephew got out of school maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. So we've been trying to direct him over to an executive recruiter, mainly because he has a lot of skills and a lot of experience, and he's not quite navigating the work network, I think, the way he should to be able to maximize that. Any tips we can get him over to you?
Yes, absolutely. So first, I will provide my email address for him and for everybody here today, because that's where it starts, a conversation. You can look at our website and see a position that you want. This is my dream job, Tensie. What do I have to do to get there? We can start there. Or if you just want to start and say, I'm intrigued. How does this work? This is where I am now in my career. This is where I want to be next. And I will walk you through the process. I will take notes about what skill sets you've done, what jobs have you had, what position would you like to be in next. And all of this information is saved in our database so that if a client comes to me with an opportunity, I can remember your nephew, Crystal, and say, oh my gosh, we just talked about this a month ago. This opportunity is in perfect alignment with what you want to do next. Let's schedule time for us to speak. So being proactive by taking that initiative will allow the person to already kind of set themselves up for success for their next opportunity. So also know whatever jobs we have posted, feel free to reach out to me about. But if you don't see anything, still reach out to me, because I can have a conversation with you to learn more about what you're looking for, your next steps, your background, what have you done in your career, so that if another role comes my way, I will have you in my specialized Rolodex and will reach out to you to say, hey, this client just contacted me, this position just posted, we talked about this several months ago, let's get you on their radar.
One of the questions we have here in the chat is, what are some of the most efficient and effective methods of identifying candidates for some of your openings? Is it networking, social media, et cetera?
So when I identify candidates, again, I look at the information that our research team is, and I look at LinkedIn. So we are all about reducing bias. We don't do a Google search. We don't do a social media search, because that's personal. That's going outside the purview of what we do. We want to only focus on your academic and professional credentials, which is why we only look at your LinkedIn. If you send us your resume, your cover letter, we look at that information. And then when we have those Zoom conversations or those phone calls, then we're able to glean more information about your background. So we try to reduce as much bias in the process, and also clients will try to reduce as much bias in the process. But at the same time, although we don't do a Google search of you, we don't look at your social media handles, if there is something that has arisen in your career in the past, it is pertinent for you to let us know. To say, okay, this incident happened, an article was written on me about this, I just want you to have for your records. Because what we don't want is to have shock of, let's say, one of the search committee members looks up such and such and they find this article. So again, we as the search firm want to reduce bias, but we always encourage our candidates, if there's something that we should know about you that might be found via Google, please let us know, and how to properly articulate this information to the client.
And are clients doing that type of, maybe after they get past the stage where they've interviewed, are they doing some type of search? I've lost track of what's legal and unlegal, but they may be doing a DOJ search, or that type of thing.
In my opinion, with the searches I've worked on, the client hasn't shared information with me about, oh, I Googled this person. So I don't know if they do or don't. I can't speak for the person, but the searches that I've done, nobody has said, oh, I Googled Gregory Sneed and this is what I found. They don't share that information with me. So to answer your question, I don't know, because they don't share that with us.
How important is credit scores?
Well, that goes to the final round of the interview. So if you're a finalist, and also goes to what the client decides. So for us, for Lindauer, we always do an education verification check. Client will do the background check. They might want to do the credit check. That's on the onus of the client. And that information is articulated to the candidate, say, congratulations, you're one of the finalists. Please know they're going to run a background check. They're going to run a credit check. We don't sign off on anything without getting prior approval from the candidate. We actually have a document that candidates have to sign, giving us permission to conduct the education verification report and to conduct references. And if the client wants us to do background credit checks, the candidate has to sign off on that as well.
What percentage of the positions that they're hiring are let me say this differently. In the old days, everybody was in the office. Now people are doing, some combination of remote, telecommute. How has that landscape? Well, you're pretty new to it, but how was it? What's that landscape now? Maybe at certain levels they're in the office all the time. or part-time? Where is that heading?
Yeah, so with COVID, more organizations are becoming remote or hybrid, depending on the opportunity. I'll give you an example. Let's say for a director of donor relations position, where you're going to be trying to do visits with donors. You don't necessarily have to be in the office as long as you can get to an airport or as long as you can get within driving distance to the donors, you're okay. So some institutions are more flexible with that. However, if you're going to be vice president or president, you need to be on campus. Students need to see you, faculty, staff, community members need to see you. So you're in the office probably 4, if not 5 days a week. So depending on the level of the position depends on the hybrid approach versus the fully remote approach versus fully in-person approaches. But again, COVID has shown us how we can work from home, how we can be strategic in those different areas. But particularly for VP and president level searches, candidates do have to be on campus for the majority of the time.
Crystal, you had something else? I look like you had a question.
It's like it's definitely a new world for employment, right? I mean, when I was in the corporate world, you had to be there, which was not my cup of tea. But now, if I wanted to go back there, it would be I would work very well in a remote environment. So cool, that's awesome. Well, I am definitely going to refer you over to my nephew. We think he's not meeting his capacity, but recruiting is hard. I mean, looking for a job is difficult. Mm-hmm. Even though it's a candidate marketplace, it's really difficult to find jobs. And so young people coming out of college have a real tough time trying to compete in a very competitive world.
Yes, that's very true. And one of the things I will say to that, Crystal, is when I worked at USC for the Black Alumni Association, I wanted to prepare my students for the real world. And so I had very high expectations for them, but it paid off because many of the seniors who graduated had full-time jobs before they graduated. So when I led our Legacy Through Leadership mentoring program, I started partnerships with the Los Angeles Lakers. I started partnerships with Bank of America. I started partnerships with DreamWorks with some of my students, had speakers come in, people from HR come in, and I would tell students, start applying for internships your freshman year. Because the more experience you have your freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, the more competitive you are, the more marketable you are when you graduate from USC. In addition, I told them about this program called Inroads. I'm an Inroads alum, an organization for Black and Brown people who place Black and Brown students in intern positions at corporations. And that really gave me a head start. Not only did they find me an organization with which to work during the summer, but they also had professional development experiences. We got to go to Tennessee one summer. I got to hear Hill Harper speak. I mean, these are just things exposed to the students. And one of the words that my dad, God rest his soul, taught me was exposure. He was like, the more you are exposed to things, the better it broadens your horizon and to see what's attainable. So at 16 years old, I left the country. I went to England, Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. I got to play the piano for Queen Elizabeth's Knight, Sir Andrew, when I was 16 years old in Westminster Cathedral Hall. I played piano in Ghana, West Africa. I played piano in Havana, Cuba. So my dad and mom exposed me to things. They wanted us to be musically talented, athletic. I was a cheerleader and I ran track, as well as academics. I had a 4.7 GPA when I graduated high school. My brother had a 5.1. So we were very well-rounded. But mom and dad also taught us about manners and being humble and being appreciative and grateful. And so those types of things is what I instilled in my students at USC, to have that full package, to have the background, to have the experience, to have the education, but also have that humility and be willing to work for something and have that hunger for it. Because when you have that, you can succeed. And so next Friday, I'll be turning 35, and I've traveled to 32 countries. I've been to 6 different continents. I've had so many different opportunities in life. Got to present Quincy Jones with an award on stage, interviewed Smokey Robinson. That's because I took advantage of the opportunities that came to me. So
long way from North Carolina, huh?
All the way from North Carolina.
What's the name of the town again?
Lewisburg, 3,500 people in Lewisburg. So when people tell me what they can't do, I'm a component of, you just spent me 10 minutes telling me what you can't do. All we need is one reason for why you can. And that's how I operate. I don't operate on a victim mentality. I don't operate on a negative mentality. I operate on an elevation and positive mindset. And that's what I encourage young people to do. That's what I encourage people to do that I have the pleasure to meet, because I'm from a small town. Nobody's heard of Lewisburg, but I helped put Lewisburg on the map. I was a contestant on Wheel of Fortune and proudly said I was from Lewisburg, North Carolina. So I am a testament to what hard work, perseverance, tenacity, never giving up, and having that strong network can do for you. Because one of my favorite quotes is, your vibe affects your tribe. So if you're around negative people who are always talking about other people or have this victim mentality, then you're always going to feel like the victim. But if you're around people who uplift you, who inspire you, who motivate you, who see things in you that you might not even see in yourself, then you can be elevated. And that's how I choose to operate. But that's because of how mom and dad raised me. And my mom was just out here last week visiting me for vacation. I got to show her all different things. And it just felt good to give back to her so much that she and dad had given to me. And so they really did a great job of raising my siblings and me. Brother graduated from Stanford with his master's degree. Sister graduated with her master's degree. Like, we all have our master's degrees, but it's because they poured education and excellence, Black excellence, into us growing up. And so that's the message that I want to send when I talk to Black people. Let's be about Black excellence. Let's be about Black unity. Let's help each other get to that next level. And that's why I love this position, because I get to let Black people know about seats at the table that they might not even know exist. I have helped place 2 Black VPs in positions since I've started. And I am so proud of that. And I want to continue to do more.
What's your mama's name? Give her a shout out.
LaVanya Taylor, that's my mother's name.
And 35. My high school had 3,500 students, so that's a bit of a town. It's like, oh, God. I have a question for you that you probably were not expecting.
Okay.
Tell us about your book and where can we get it?
Oh, thank you for that, Gregory. I always like a little PR for that. So my book is entitled Bullied: From Terror to Triumph, My Survival Story. I wrote it. It was published in January of 2016. And I tell people that I gave birth to a book because it took me 9 months to write this book. And I am of the faith. And everywhere I would go in 2015, I just kept hearing the word bullied, bullied. I would go to Hollywood event, bullied, church event, bullied. I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. I hear you. And so I started to write. And my book has done very well. So many young people have reached out to me. I have pictures in the book of me and Miss Tina, Beyonce's mom, at an event, meeting Boris Kodjoe when he and I were honored by the mayor of Los Angeles several years ago. Me in England, you know, just different pictures to showcase the life that I live, yet the challenges that I face, but how I overcame those obstacles. It's an Amazon bestseller. Celebrities have endorsed my book. Miss Tina gave me a shout out on her IG page several years ago. So that was 3 million people who got to see about my book. I got my hair done by Miss Tina as well. So I just really tell my story of how I overcame obstacles and challenges. And you will laugh, you will cry, it will take you on an emotional roller coaster. But I am most proud of this book because I wanted to bring awareness to this topic. I presented in Ireland, Dublin, Ireland in 2019 for the World Anti-Bully Forum about my book and the research that I conducted. And just stories. An individual from Saudi Arabia reached out to me because he heard about my story. And sadly, bullying is still very prevalent, especially in the social media world. I talk to a lot of young people. I do a lot of public speaking. And I just encourage them to find their voice, find their network, because better days are ahead. I was bullied so badly, I contemplated suicide at 16. That's how low I felt. And people see me now, and you're so vibrant, you're so nice, Tensie, you're so this. I'm happy, because I know what I went through, but I was not going to let another human being take my credit or my life from me because of how they made me feel. And when I didn't give into the suicide, I changed my life and I changed my perspective. And I was on even more of a trajectory to do even greater things in life. So I just say all that to say, whatever battle you're facing, whatever challenge, whatever obstacle you're going through, there will be better days ahead. This too shall pass. Find that support system, find somebody to give you that encouragement, because we need it. There's so much jealousy, iniquity, evilness going on in this world. And so I try to counter that with positivity and light and ebulliency. So just remember that wherever you have come from, that there will be better days ahead, and to find those support systems. I'm really big on mental health and counseling, There's nothing wrong with getting counseling. There's nothing wrong with therapy that's healthy. And we in the Black community need to do more with the mental health and talking about therapy, because I know I have a therapist where I would be if I had have given into those thoughts. So I would appreciate the support. You can get my book on Amazon, or you can contact me directly and I will autograph it and write a special message for you, but just really want to get my message of anti-bullying out there.
Yeah, look at you. We're proud of you. Yay.
So
Give her a round of
proud of you.
applause.
And I see Michelle Moore Bell. She's got a women's group that you could some synergy.
Okay.
Danielle Harvey, she's a at USC alum. You guys, this lady's amazing. I'm going to ask you, I work with kids. I teach them how to be entrepreneurs, and a lot of them they're young kids on their way to their careers. From 13 to 18, and I have a number of them are heading out to college next year, and I'd love for you to speak to them this fall. We do a virtual class with them, so I'm going to reach out to you for that, but I think all young people should hear you. My nephew, oh my God, he should have heard from you in undergrad, because he was so disenchanted after school. He went on and got his master's, so he's got his master's, and I got another one on his way out from getting his BA, and he's going into the entertainment industry. So I'm gonna hook them all up with you, so that we can get them on their right path. You're awesome, young lady. I love it.
Tensie, do you live here in the Southern California area, or did you move back to North
Carolina?
Carolina?
No, I'm hooked. Los Angeles is home. I live in Glendale. And you talked about the entertainment industry, Crystal. I used to be a red carpet host in Hollywood. So I've been to the Grammys, the Emmys, the Oscars. I met everybody from Beyonce, Jay-Z, Oprah, Denzel, Taylor Swift, John Legend, you name it. I've had the pleasure of meeting and interviewing them. And so again, this lady, a little girl at the time from this little city in Lewisburg, 3,500 people out here meeting Jay-Z and interviewing Oprah and presenting Quincy Jones with an award. So I just say all that not in a braggadocio way, but in a way that you set your success, you set your destiny. And again, if you surround yourself with positive-minded people, anything's possible. I remember leaving North Carolina, and of course, many people had great things to say, but those were also the naysayers. Do you think you'll survive? Do you think you'll be okay? You know, it's crazy people out there. And I'm just like, wow, I don't need to hear this negative energy before I leave. But those same people who had those comments now look at me on social media, and they're some of my biggest encouragers.
Put your pinky up, right?
Exactly. So I love talking to people. I love motivating individuals, and you just never know what's possible until you try and put yourself out there.
Everybody, please give Ms. Tensie Taylor a round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Awesome.
Crystal, back over to you.
All righty. Oh my God, that was just amazing. So we're definitely going to keep connected with you. There's a number of powerhouses here right there on this platform. I suggest you guys all reach out to her. Her email is in the chat room. And especially if you're working with kids, Mr. Greg, how are you? If you're working with young people, you are such an inspiration, especially, your book. I'm going to order your book like right now and pass that on. That's how I'm going to introduce you to my nephew. He's a little stubborn, so I got to use different tactics to get him to you. But I thank you so much, and we so appreciate having you and having you part of our network. Dr. Mays, you got any updates for us on the pandemic, monkeypox? What other treacherous disease is waiting for us in the wings?
Good morning, family. I'm here to let you spend that wealth that you're going to acquire by trying to keep you healthy. I just wanted to come on today and just talk a little bit about monkeypox. And the reason to talk about monkeypox is because we're starting off in the same way we started off when we first encountered HIV/AIDS. And what happened is that we, the Black community in particular, got caught off guard. Because when HIV first started, it was called GRID, gay-related infectious disease. And so we just thought, oh, no problem, do whatever, have a good time, just move along. And it turned out that, that was a inappropriate way to start. So what everyone in public health is trying to do is to make sure that people understand that monkeypox is not a gay disease. And that instead what happened is that in the gay population, not only have people the opportunity to go and get checked, have health care, have it identified. Sometimes in our community, we get, a flu-like symptom and we're like, I just don't feel good. I'm going to bed. I'm gonna drag myself into work. This rash is probably because I had too much bleach in the clothes and, all kinds of things in which we tend to explain things away because going and getting healthcare sometimes takes a lot of time and for some people money. So because you don't see it, do not assume it's not there. Because people who have the capacity to actually go and get healthcare, and healthcare has been made very available because they're trying to control the HIV epidemic. So the ability to go in as soon as you see something is there. So I just, want people to understand that monkeypox has been around. Non-gay individuals or same-sex people have gotten monkeypox in other countries and what have you. So the World Health Organization is very concerned that, the issue of vaccines are not being stockpiled in the right place, that we're not getting information out. So monkeypox is spread, and it's spread by, people sleeping in the same bed. It's spread by, someone has it and they're in close contact. It isn't just that it's sex, just so that there are kids that have, come down with monkeypox. So, we have those conditions of living in close quarters. We have those conditions of working in places where, we're in close quarters. And so I just want to make sure that people really, start paying attention. I'm not here to, get people scared that, again, we got to go on lockdown. But I don't want you, if there is the opportunity, and because you think you're at risk to get vaccinated, that you just decide, well, that's the West Hollywood crowd that need this. But instead to pay attention to what your potential risk factors are. In terms of thinking about where we are in terms of COVID, remember my thing is COVID ain't over yet. It's over for some people. It ain't over yet for all people. And people who are vulnerable are the people that it's not over with. What I want to remind you of is those of you who got boosted, and if you were really very diligent about getting boosted, then you were boosted probably back in April, maybe March, April. So what you have to begin to think about is your boost may start to wane. So we think, and particularly if you're using, if you had Pfizer or Moderna, we usually think it's about 5 months. So I want you to be cognizant of the fact that you may be boosted, but you could also start waning. So that may mean you want to wear your mask. There is to be, and I can't say it for certainty, but there is to be a potential another booster available in the fall. That booster will actually have the Omicron as a part of it so that we start boosting specific to what the outbreak is. So you're boosted. I thank those of you who have gotten boosted, but I want you to not forget that over time, the strength of your boosting may not be as great as it was in the beginning. So you might want to think about increasing protective actions of social distancing, wearing your mask, washing hands, those kinds of things. So Crystal, that's today. I'm not scaring, but trying to educate and alert.
And that's
Dr. Mays, a quick question. What's and there's a lot going on in terms of the for those who've had COVID on reinfection and reinfection with the BA.5 strain, because there's a lot of misinformation. Some saying that it can happen, but it's not that common. BA.5 to BA.5. You ask 5 people and you get 8 answers.
Exactly. And even sometimes we're getting two within the same organization like CDC or something. But here's the story. You can get reinfected. And there are a number of ways to think about this. You've heard people say that, well, right after you get COVID, you're really strong. You got a lot of antibodies and what have you. Different people have different amounts of antibodies. And we do not have a way to know exactly how much you have. Well, we do, but but we don't spend our healthcare dollars that way of letting you decide. I'm gonna go in once a week and be tested and see how my antibodies are. That, it's like you want to pay out of your pocket and pay all that money, that's fine, but that is not typical. So you can't when you did that, it just reminded me I was in a situation where somebody did that and said, I just had COVID. So it was almost like, I said, should we also put a cape on you too? If you think you're that good. I mean, it was kind of like silly behavior. But anyway.
We got Danger Man for that. Is Danger Man still on here? Where's this cape? Yeah.
That was it. I was like, oh, come on now, But anyway, so you can be reinfected. You do have strong antibodies, but you don't know, this is the most important part, you don't know what you had. So you don't know what your antibodies are to. So maybe you were infected with, early, COVID, and your antibodies are to early COVID. Maybe you have COVID that is, BA4, maybe it's BA5, maybe it's BA5.5. You don't know. So your body is steeped in antibodies that are very specific. So, thank you for asking that question.
But Danger Man is our superhero.
See, that's a different kind of superhero. We need Danger Man to be a superhero. We just need these people who decide their antibodies are superheroes. That's what the problem is. Danger Man is, but the antibodies aren't.
I'll be underdog, okay?
One last question, Dr. Mays. I noticed the other day I got a link that trying to make sure that our vaccination records are up to date. And I guess they've made some changes at the CDC and the vaccination record place. But my first one doesn't show up. Does that matter? I mean, the second two show up, but the first one doesn't show up.
What you would like to be able to do is to have your entire record show up. And there's something also that you can do, which is there's the online version. And the reason you want that is so that it's in your electronic health record, so that they can see exactly what you got, so that over time they can study this and see if what your vulnerability is, etc. You should be able to go to the state of California immunization program and ask them to make sure that in some kind of way your two records must not be linked together.
Okay.
But you can also see if your healthcare provider can download it and have it for you. Okay. But short of that, Crystal, what I would suggest is that in your phone, you take a picture of the card. So each time you were vaccinated, if you kept your card, they did it. So if anything ever happened or you wanted to have it put in your record, we also sometimes have people send that, it gets loaded up, and it goes into your electronic health record.
Okay, so I can.
I did that with Kaiser. I took my card because my first two shots weren't through Kaiser. So I took my card to Kaiser because it had the lot number and everything, and they keyed all that in. So now the entire record is there for for the shots, the 4 shots.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else that has that problem? Because I know if you're flying and stuff, they may be still asking for that, and especially if you're going international. But that was worrying me because I have the card and I know I took the shot, but I just want to make sure they're all there. Stephen, you want to tell us who's here next week? And Dr. Mays, of course, awesome. We love for you to drop in and give us updates. Especially with this new monkeypox with so much information. And, you know, we live in a different world than we did when HIV was around. Folks are a lot more fluid than they were. And there's got some other things going on that wasn't around back there in the 90s when HIV. So, yeah, it's a possibility it can cross over into the heterosexual world, in any world for that matter, much faster and easier than it used to. Stephen, who's here with us next week?
Again, I'd like to, first of all, thank Teresa Taylor for being our special guest. What a great source of
Awesome.
information. She had to jump off the line, but I just, on behalf of everyone, I'd like to thank Ms. Taylor. Next week, we have Wendell Brown, who's going to talk about diversity and inclusion as far as Wells Fargo supply chain. So if you're thinking about Wells Fargo, if you're a member or a customer, or you want to do business with them, next Thursday is the time to hear from Wendell Brown about what opportunities Wells Fargo has.
Okay. All righty. Well, we want to thank you all for being here today. Please come back. Please go out and tell a friend. Gregory Young, the man that never ever grows old. I don't know if you guys know Greg, but I've known this man over 30 years, and he looked exactly like this when I met him 30 years ago. He never grows old. Perfect.
Cleaner than a
name.
Kansas City chitlin.
Always. Well, welcome, Greg. And welcome back, Paul and Marcel. Glad to have you back. And Dr. Williams, thank you guys. And of course, all of our regulars, please continue to come back to the community briefing. It is our platform to get the up-to-date information. And if you guys got any nephews or nieces that need jobs, make sure y'all reach out to Tensie Taylor as well and get them out there so they can get the jobs they deserve. So thank you guys. So we'll see you next week. You can pick up this show on our YouTube channel, the community briefing, and we have had another great show. So thank you all. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Greg, and thank you all our guests. And we
prayers for Robin and her healing. Robin
and healing. Mm-hmm. She just told me, she just sent me a text and said she's all good. She's doing good. She's just going through her treatment, and she'll be back soon. Miss Patricia Click, she was our guest a couple weeks. Oh, awesome. You guys can go to our YouTube channel and hear all the great information from her and Mr. Paul Dozier and her team. And we'll see you guys back here next Thursday, same time, 11 a.m., same bat channel. Bring a friend. Talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye, y'all. Y'all come back now.
Y'all come back.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, Mr. Greg.